My name is Jody Fenlason, and I graduated from Aurora College in 1968. I live in Newcastle, Washington right now. My ties to Aurora actually began almost 100 years ago. My grandfather, Alvin Lobb Sr., first attended Aurora in 1914, and he later became an Advent Christian pastor, and he had churches that he served in up and down the West Coast. He and also my other grandfather, Thomas Dilworth, both donated prophetic charts to the Jenks collection at Aurora. My parents, Al and Maxine Lobb, actually met at Aurora, and I had several aunts and uncles from both sides of my family who attended the college. I grew up in the Seattle Advent Christian Church, and my pastor as a teenager was Cleo Thomas, and he also was a graduate of Aurora. So with all that history behind me, when it was time to choose a college, it was easy for me to choose Aurora. And that's one decision that I was always glad that I made.
My situation of coming to Aurora was much different than Jody's was. I had no real connection whatsoever with the college, now university. Grew up in a small town in Maine, small, poor, lumbering town, but kind of had the connection through the Advent Christian Church, because where I lived in this small town was near a number of different lakes, one of which was where the Big Lake Campground was. And the Big Lake Campground was Advent Christian, and of course there were representatives from the college that would come from time to time. Roger Parolini would be there, Butch Merritt came, also Moses Krause as a teacher, whereas Roger and Butch were there more to work with the youth, and that made an impression. And even though neither of my parents had gone to college, and growing up in this small town, somewhere I knew I wanted to go to school. And as part of that process, I guess the interesting thing was, as I saw the representatives that would come from Aurora, as I would see them and talk with them, became aware that this might be something that might be a good situation, because it's a smaller campus. It's a campus where, from everything I'd been able to learn about, I could get a good education. And probably one of the key things that sold me was that they convinced me that I could work part-time and earn enough to help pay for my tuition and my room and board, because otherwise it wasn't going to happen. So with that kind of an opportunity, plus, yeah, it would be good to get out of small town Maine, so this was a chance to go somewhere else. Decided to take a run at it, and so it turned out to be a good situation. But the irony of it is, I've heard comments that, oh, Aurora is a small college. Well, I had a graduating class in high school of 19, so Aurora wasn't a small situation for me. It was a major transition. I think the Aurora experience, and where we lived in Hong Kong, and when we were living in Hong Kong, we were there because the job that I had was covering in 14 different countries in Southeast Asia. So I was traveling most of the time. Jody would be in Hong Kong, which is where we were living. But I think where the Aurora experience helped was, the Aurora experience for me was one of teaching me, or allowing me the opportunity to relate to people, to be accepting of different people in different circumstances and different situations. And part of that process of being accepting, being willing to listen and to interact with people allowed me to move into a lot of different cultures and do business with people who thought differently than I did. And that's how I would relate back. The Aurora experience gave me the opportunity to be open and accepting of other people, be willing to accept their ideas and thoughts, and find ways to relate to them. And that bode me well.
Well, I've appreciated the emphasis that I think Aurora University has given lately to community service. And I've liked reading in the AU newsletter about community or service projects that students can be involved in. I think the university is headed in a good direction under Dr. Sherrick, and I hope that it would continue emphasizing service and also provide students with learning experiences both inside and outside the classroom.
I think the thing that I would, I guess, wish the college or request of the college is, and I don't mean to quote tritely, but to know thyself. The current mission statement that you have, which I think brings that back full cycle, that an inclusive community dedicated to transformative power of learning. I think if that's executed, that again fulfills the motto that I knew of character and scholarship, and it's that dealing with a complete person, giving them the opportunity to grow, but within an environment that allows that to foster.